At Truliant, we're with you at every milestone, making it easier for you to shine. So you can saddle up each morning for more than a paycheck. Have the support to expand your horizon, the space to grow your family, and your brightest dreams never have to fade. At Truliant, we help you shine. That's brighter banking. Truliant Federal Credit Union.
Welcome to the Greater Conversations podcast. I'm Deetra Miller, the Director of Member Relations and Engagement at Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. We'll use this platform to showcase our local businesses, our community, and their stories. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I am super excited today to introduce you to someone that, I don't know, I think she's pretty cool. When I read her background story, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for the audience to get to meet Taylor Ghost, who is the Director of Interior Design with Stitch Design Shop, and she also is in charge of culture and recruiting at Stitch Design Shop. Really fun. So, Taylor, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Deetra.
And of course, Ethany, thank you for co-hosting with me today as well. And Tim, thank you for producing as always.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Excellent.
It's fun.
All right, let's get into it. Taylor Ghost, first, I want you to tell everyone who you are.
Well, who am I? I ask myself that question every day, Deetra. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, so I spent maybe 28 years of my life there. It's a really beautiful area. It's a really large city, actually.
The largest
in comparison to our area in Winston-Salem. Had a wonderful upbringing there. I did experience some things over the course of my childhood that sparked that early desire to pursue interior design. I had a lot of grief due to loss in our family. And so growing up in a home where I was experiencing that, I realized very early on the impact of that on, the impact of your personal space on your life, and how grief had shown itself through the way our home looked. And I felt this impulse to really impact that, even at a young age, and change it. So that really led me to, start to work on a path towards something creative, but I didn't know how to articulate it just then.
That's amazing. And just reading your story, that has just shaped your entire career, your entire life. But it looks like you did take a little bit of a detour during your career. And I saw that you were a legal assistant for 9 years.
I was.
How did you jump from interior design to the legal world?
Well, it was the reverse. I came out of that childhood experience, and I had the ability, folks invited me to come start working at a law firm. That was the thing I had the opportunity for. I didn't have a lot of support to really navigate what college would look like for me and what that path would look like. And so I just kind of started working with this private law firm in the downtown area, and I sometimes refer to that lovingly as my undergrad experience. Those folks really showed me the ropes of what it's like to work in a services firm, how to excel in business. I got to be exposed to a wide variety of types of law and types of clients, honestly. I got to a point in my career there where they started nudging me. They knew I was doing creative projects and things like that for a lot of them on the side. And I got a lot of nudges to pursue more of an education and a lot of encouragement and assistance in that regard to get going in that path. So I researched design schools and, started to research what that would mean for me. UNCG rose to the top of that list. They have a robust interior architecture program. And where I had initially thought that some of the more popular named schools like SCAD might be the path for me, it was when I walked in the doors at UNCG that it just felt right, that environment looks every bit like what a design educational studio environment should look like. And that's that.
Well, I love the fact that that brought you to North Carolina. I love that you had people in your life that actually pushed you, saw exactly what it was that you shined at, and wanted to make sure that you pursued that goal. I love that. Yeah. So you went to UNCG and you stayed here, yes?
I did.
So how did you jump over from Greensboro to Winston-Salem?
Well, Winston-Salem had a lot of opportunity for the commercial architecture world. So I worked with another firm for many years before hopping over to Stitch. And, my husband has a business in Burlington. We're really passionate about this region. And so we live in Greensboro. I've worked in Winston for over a decade now. And it's all been really exciting because experiencing the tremendous growth regionally for this area has been really exciting to witness.
Stitch also has projects far and wide as well, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a residential project in Utah right now, another residential project in Canada. It's very exciting to see where our connections and clients take us. We're primarily focused in projects that are across the North Carolina region, sometimes up into Virginia, but have been really focused on the high country, the triad, the triangle market, and even starting to reach out further east to the coast.
That's pretty awesome. Talk a little bit about Stitch and its founding story, if you will.
I will. I love to tell this story. I always take it from our partners if we're having an interview or need to talk about it because they've been so inspirational to me. About 11 years ago, our three partners, Pete Falla, Ben Schwab, and Adam Sebastian, were really thinking there's got to be a better way to provide architecture and interior design services to the community, a better way to process design, a better way to provide a studio culture. And so they, formed Stitch, and one of their first projects was Bailey Park. That term, to find a better way, is something that you can hear every one of our 23 employees saying on a regular basis. We're always talking about that. How can we do that in our projects and in our approach to all of the partners that we have on projects? So it's always been so inspiring.
I love that. And I believe I saw that on the walls of your new office in downtown Winston-Salem.
You did.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so our new office in downtown Winston is a renovation of an old Studebaker dealership. It's really beautiful, and we, worked on the design of that as a team, just as we would for any of our clients. It was really exciting to even hone in on details like a custom and signage package that was really artful. So we found ways, what Dietrich's referencing is that we have find a better way in a very large scale on our break room wall. And we had a local painter be able to paint that in a couple different colors. It really jumps out at you. And then throughout the space, we have all these really interesting signage details as well that might tell other stories of our culture, like that we're curious listeners, bold dreamers, and purposeful doers.
Earlier this year, Dietrich and I, in the chamber industry, we got to host our own ribbon cutting for our offices, which were designed by Stitch. But you moving into a new corporate headquarters location and getting to be your own client, correct? So how was that experience?
Yeah, it was great. I will tell you that budget gets all of us. But it was really interesting to walk through it. And it has informed and adjusted some of the ways in which we approach workplace design. And we really wanted it to be a showcase for folks to say, like, these are the possibilities. This is what you can do, even if you have to be strategic about budget. This is what furniture can do to your workplace. This is what that signage, that messaging, being artful in the approach, how that can really bring the overall experience together.
Give us an example of what an approach would look like for any business, they come to you and say, you know what, we want to redo our corporate office. What does that look like? What are the steps?
Well, early on, we really love to get to know those companies. We really want to dig in. We call it our clarity phase. We ask a lot of great questions, and we ask for those questions to be asked throughout multiple departments, different levels of roles, even so that we can get a really diverse set of answers back and criteria, things that might really impact the priorities of the project. So that research phase can look like surveys, in-person interviews, just observations, seeing how their current space is being used, what's working, what's not. And, oftentimes when people do want to design their new workplace, they might be, chewing on multiple spaces. They're either deciding to take their lease and renew it and do a renovation as a part of that, or they might be studying between multiple spaces in the city that have really different, details about them. And they want someone on their team that can help them analyze both the design impact of those choices, but also the budget, the time, any other implications that might impact their overall lease, any other things that they need to be aware of as they get through each gate. I think having as much information as possible when you're beginning a project that everyone can agree on and everyone says this is a really great direction, that really sets us up for success as we move into more detailed design and then even construction administration. But we do like to walk those people through as much access to technology in that process, which I think is extremely helpful and also sets us apart from a lot of other firms. We render things regularly. We are able to render quickly. We put people through the VR experience, whether it's a commercial project or a residential. We love to be able to, give clients the tools they need to be effective decision makers.
Is there a difference in your approach with a commercial client versus a residential client?
That's such a great question. Recently we rebranded our residential studio, so that's Stitch Dwellings. We did that to help really, highlight and be able to finesse the residential process because that is a unique client, that is a unique set of needs. However, our overall process and the structure of that remains intact. So clarity, creativity, and confidence are the way we would look at and talk about our phases of design. And we apply that to both commercial and residential. It really means that we're going to be asking those good questions up front, digging in and doing research. That research might look different for those two types of clients. And then in the creativity, like I mentioned, we're giving both parties access to all the tools and technology that we might need to really detail the project. And then as we move into construction documents and construction administration, we want that to be as smooth as possible. We've done a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the discussions, the deep discussions and the iterations up front so that as we get closer and closer to the finish line, that can be as seamless as possible.
That's awesome. You have an office in Greensboro. You have an amazing new corporate headquarters in Winston-Salem. Is there a third location as well?
There is. We have a Boone office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 2 team members in Boone,
That's
and we're really
awesome.
excited about that.
Do all of you work together on projects, or are projects specific to each office?
That's a great one. We definitely allocate projects based on the needs of the project. So we might have an expert on a project type that's occurring in Boone. We want to make sure they're a part of that process, but we also want to make sure we have boots on the ground in Boone. So we have a way of allocating and building a team out so that we are able to really service our clients well, no matter where it's located.
Are there any verticals that you guys are itching to work with, or particular clients? Because I've seen your work in different areas, from our office to Carolina Core football club's new training facility in High Point, and just so many different things. Like, what is something that you guys are itching to possibly do that you haven't yet?
Well, I would just say that we have been working on a lot more really hospitality-driven projects where we're, not necessarily hotels, but properties where we're really creating an experience for the end user, and we're really thinking about all the different ways in which you can engage someone in different amenities and activities and, food and beverage needs. I think that we love to think outside the box. We love to have a good challenge, and we love projects that have a client that is really engaged in the design process and wants to, do something really cool and something different. And again, back to that growth in the triad, we're so excited to be a part of that. So any vertical that is going to take our area in the next, to the next phase is like, we're all on board for that. We want to be a part of those great conversations and driving that progress.
I love that. I love that.
I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the client's needs and what you guys discover together during that clarity process. But for yourself, what do you love about interior design? What kind of design do you like to implement?
Well, kind of tapping back to my early story, I love it. It doesn't matter the project type. Like if we're talking about a medical office space, for example, or someone's modern dream home, what I love about interior design is that there is so much to it that folks that are maybe not living and breathing in the interior design world, they wouldn't readily see. Our specifications, all the materials have so much research and information built into them. There are building codes that relate to why you can put a fabric on the wall in one area, but you couldn't put it in a different type of building or a certain amount of it. There's reasons why, there's a reason for everything, and a lot of organization to it in a field that is so diverse and so colorful and, has so much to offer. I love that there's that side of it that gets really organized. And I also really love digging into the business of design. So really understanding how interior design can impact the bottom line of a client. If there's not, if it's a commercial space, and there are business goals associated with design and construction always. I don't think anyone ever sets out to renovate something or build a new space without that their business plan in mind. And so, when we come in, even for just a focus on interior design, I want those decisions to be purposeful, and knowing that they can and will have an impact on the return on investment that client has for the project. That just gets me so excited and ready to wake up each morning.
Sometimes writers have writer's block. As an interior designer, do you ever have designer block, and does music help you get out of that?
Absolutely. I think, our whole team from time to time, I think the environment we've created and the culture we've created is that we have different mechanisms we can pull to help, get that creative juice flowing, help everybody's, overall vibe. So we play music regularly in the office. We have a few different playlists. We love, I love to get, depending on my mood, I'll put my headphones in if I need something different, but I think that music just brings life to the overall environment, and it's really great to incorporate.
Well, tell us what your favorite project has been over the past couple of years.
Oh my gosh.
Besides your own
office. I can't pick a favorite project.
One of the favorites.
One of the favorites. I'll highlight that we're working on a residential project now on an island in Pittsburgh, and it is 2 different structures, a main house and a guest house. And one of the more interesting interior design details of any of our projects, I feel, is on there. It's we're taking a boulder from the property, like a big rock, and inserting that into a piece of millwork that it's hard to describe without a rendering available, but it's going to be the client's fireplace, and above it is mounted a bar area. It's so cool how just one element in a home can be a piece of art. And it's been really awesome to see how the contractor, the entire design team, everybody involved has been so engaged in this detail and how it's going to come together and how are we going to mount everything and make it work. How do you cut a rock? How do you insert a fireplace? So all those details are really exciting.
That sounds so fun. Were you walking the property, or was the contractor, going through and said, we got to get this boulder out of here? And you were like, no, wait, I have an idea.
Well, we actually came up with that with the client very, very early in the process. Like I want to say it, after we had iterated on the bar maybe a few times and thinking through what side is the fireplace? Are you going to see it all the way around? What kind of box is that going to be? Is it going to be one of the more standard linear, electric type of fireplaces and so forth? And the design team came up with what if we inserted a rock from the property? So we didn't know this rock. Nobody had met the rock yet. But it had been rendered hundreds of times. We've had it in the model for so long now. And earlier this year, as they started breaking ground and everybody's been working on the site, there was an effort to go search for it and to find it. And so the client and the contractor, we located it. It's been a very exciting process to have everybody inspired by that and to go out to find it. What is this thing going to be? Wow. Can we find a rock of the scale that we found on a modeling website? We just found a random rock that we inserted in it. So
like a big old Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, it is. But it's really I can't wait for it to be done. It's just so cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I love y'all's creativity. If you were to go back in time and talk to your younger self, 5 years old, 7 years old, knowing what you know now and your amazing career, what would you share with her to get her motivated and know that she's on the right track when it comes to design?
Gosh, I would say a few of the same things that I tell anyone I meet, because I regularly meet with students and folks that are, trying to search along their path and find what they're going to do in the architecture and interior design world or even beyond that. And I say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, ultimately, is the overarching statement. I think for many years I was afraid to ask, afraid to take the next step, afraid to listen to my gut. And as you get older and you get more experienced, you realize there's so much power in asking. No one is going to tell you to not ask, or so many people are open to giving you knowledge if you just ask. And having fear, it's only going to help you so much, protect you so much. Sometimes it'll protect you from doing the very right thing and the best thing, sooner. And so, yeah.
I love that. Taylor, tell us more about Stitch Dwellings.
Well, teacher, we, as we really honed in on what that branding would look like for our residential studio, we are excited to offer all under one roof everything for a potential homeowner client, from the architecture, that architectural concept, through permit drawings, the interior design, all the way through the procurement of your furniture package, management of your move-in, and all of that final install to make the process of building a new home something that the client does not have to worry about.
Wow, that's amazing.
Is that building and renovation of an existing property as well? Or
we primarily focus on new construction, but we do handle select renovations that are ideal. Yeah.
There's something else here. I'm glad you pulled up her profile on Stitch. There's this cool quote: be who you are and be that well. Mm-hmm. So I think you're doing that. You are definitely doing that, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that we did not talk about today regarding your background for everyone to know, or regarding Stitch that you want to share with everyone listening?
Yeah, I think I would just say that I think when I look back, we talked about how Stitch was founded and that we're 11 years in. And I think while folks maybe do see a lot, because we regularly share our information, I think they'd be really surprised to just understand the scale and scope of work we've had over the past 11 years and the variety of project types that we've worked on. I think we've really been building that team and expertise. And it's really exciting to think about where we're headed. We have 3 offices now that we all talked about, and we are working now on expanding into the Triangle. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So we recently hired 2 new employees that are in the Triangle. We already had one that was working hybrid with us from there. So we're really working on outlining what that's going to look like, what those next steps are. But we're thrilled to have people on board that are in that area and adding to the team.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Durham or Morrisville or Cary, or do you...
sometimes we throw out Raleigh, and we throw that out a lot, but I say it's the Triangle because that's a part of that research we're doing right now, really finding what, where does Stitch belong in that mix of the Triangle, and finding a really good spot for us that feels true to who we are.
Well, I know that you're going to find it soon. Gosh, that's exciting news. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, any other questions, Anthony?
No, I just think, when we go to work, Deetra and I, in our new space, I think that there's a lot of enrichment in the physical space around you. And so we're certainly grateful to your team. We are big fans of the work of some of the other spaces and places around Winston-Salem and beyond that you all have been a part of. So it was great chatting with you today.
Yeah, and thank you all. I mean, I really think that one of our favorite things about Winston-Salem is the entrepreneurial spirit of it. It's the city of arts and innovation. And, GWS does an incredible job supporting businesses like ours and really driving that inspiration and bringing the right people together. And so we are so thankful for that partnership.
Oh, thank you. We are too. All right. Well, for everyone listening, please check out Stitch Design Shop. The website is stitchdesignshop.com. Are there any socials they should follow as well, Taylor?
Yeah, we have another website for our residential studio, so that's stitchdwellings.com. And then you can follow both Stitch Design Shop and Stitch Dwellings on Instagram.
Excellent. And if they need to find you, how can they do that specifically?
They can hit up our website. I'm Taylor at Stitch Design Shop, but that email is located on my profile on our site.
Excellent. All right. For everyone listening, hope you had fun with this episode. Until next time. Know you enjoyed this podcast today. So join us for the next episode of Greater Conversations. By the way, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Be sure to smash that subscribe button. Also, be sure to visit our website at winstonsalem.com. The views and opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and not necessarily those of our sponsors, distributors, or hosting companies. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced without expressed written consent of Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. or your toast.